GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched Alzheimer's and Caregivers, the not-so-sexy podcast, episode 82. Welcome. Glad you made it. I'm Jeff Edwards, your host. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving and you weren't too stressed. And if you traveled, hope everything was smooth. Any snow anywhere? Definitely not here. Our air conditioner got a workout, let me tell you. In this episode of GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, we're looking at Alzheimer's from a different angle. While there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease, various alternative treatment options that may help manage symptoms and improve quality of life. And we will go into that in a bit. Plus, we'll be speaking with author Paul Wayne Bowman, who has written a number of books, but we'll be talking about his latest, You Can Reverse Dementia. Now, it's a topic that intrigues me that may be controversial to others. Greetings to our sponsor, Heart, Body, and Mind Home Care. Now, this wouldn't be GutPunched if we didn't go over our rules or tenets. The tenets we follow at GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers are very simple. Number 1, you must take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? Number 2, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends and relatives. Number 3, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need, and then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists. Start at the top. Keep going till you get what you need done. Done. You're going to find it very helpful. Number 4, create a help signal. Identify a cue or phrase to confirm your loved one is comfortable with receiving help. This is for when you have caregivers outside of family helping with caregiving duties. It will help put them at ease. Number 5, caregiving. Love it or hate it. It will be your life till it's not. Give it your all. The podcast is growing in leaps and bounds. Thank you very much for that. Can you help us grow even more? If you would please share this podcast with others. Maybe you know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia. You can just send them the link or send them to gutpunched.com. Help them help themselves and others. Maybe they need the information and resources. Let them know that they're not alone. There is help and hope out there for everyone. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. Just push the subscribe button. Okay, everybody ready? Let's go. While there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease, various alternative treatment options may help manage symptoms and improve quality of life. Dietary supplements. Number 1, phosphatidylserine. This lipid is thought to support nerve cell membranes. Some studies suggest it may help with cognitive function, but more research is needed to confirm its effectiveness. 2, ginkgo biloba. Traditionally used for memory enhancement, some small studies indicate it may provide modest cognitive benefits. However, larger trials have not consistently supported its efficacy. Number 3, omega-3 fatty acids. Found in fish oil, these are believed to have potential brain health benefits, although conclusive evidence for their effectiveness in treating Alzheimer's is lacking. Number 4, melatonin. Known for its role in regulating sleep, melatonin supplements may help improve sleep quality in Alzheimer's patients, which can indirectly benefit cognitive function. Number 5, lifestyle modifications. A balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats may help reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Diets like the Mediterranean diet are often recommended. Physical activity. Regular exercise is associated with better cognitive health and may slow the progression of Alzheimer's symptoms. 1. Cognitive stimulation. Engaging in mentally stimulating activities such as puzzles, reading, or learning new skills can help maintain cognitive function. There are 3 sources. Therapeutic approaches. Cognitive stimulation therapy. This involves engaging in activities that stimulate thinking and memory, which can be beneficial for individuals with Alzheimer's. 1. Talk therapy. Counseling can provide emotional support and coping strategies for both patients and caregivers, helping to improve overall well-being. 1 source. Caution with alternative treatments. While exploring alternative treatments, it's crucial to consult healthcare professionals, as many dietary supplements can interact with prescribed medications. The effectiveness of safety of these alternatives can vary widely, and rigorous scientific validation is often lacking. Always prioritize evidence-based approaches and discuss any new treatments with a healthcare provider.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
We'd like to welcome Heart, Body, and Mind Home Care, a nationally award-winning company. Heart, Body, and Mind Home Care. Service is their passion. Excellence is their promise. Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's care specialists. Heart, Mind, and Body Home Care are now located in Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. You can find them on the web, hbmhomecare.com, or you can call them at 239-603-6455. And you'll find a link for them on our website. That's gutpunched.com. Heart, Body, and Mind Home Care. A very good company, and they're really great people. Check them out.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
I was referred to our guest by an old friend of mine, Peggy Silfon in Naples, Florida. I've known Peggy for so many years. She's a dynamo, always on the cutting edge and ahead of many with new ideas and ways to help others. She reached out to me and told me I need to talk with our guest. Quote, he's an excellent neuro coach, very articulate and knowledgeable. So I took her advice and called Paul Wayne Bowman. Now, he's the author of many books. There are 4 currently available. First one, 147 smoothies for weight loss. Another, help me stop eating, and you fill in the blank. Here's the next, how to fix type 2 diabetes in 8 to 12 weeks. And his latest, You Can Reverse Dementia. Paul Wayne Bowman is on a mission to make sure everyone knows that you can reverse dementia. He is dedicated to empowering individuals and caregivers with the proven science-backed strategies for maximizing cognitive function. Driven by a personal high-risk profile, including a strong family history and over 100 concussions, Paul is a best-selling author and neurocoach, helping people improve cognition, function, balance, movement, mobility, and joint pain through applied neurology. Greetings, Paul. Nice to be able to talk with you today. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Can you give us a little background on yourself, where you're from, and how did you end up in Florida?
I grew up in Rhode Island, lived there for about 30 years, then moved to New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, I ran a martial arts school for about 10 years. I used to love all the New England seasons, but as it often happens as we get older, I had seen enough cold, snowy winters. So landing in Central Florida, where my dad is, I ran No Excuses Ladies Fitness, which was mostly women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s struggling with fitness. That's where I discovered applied neurology. And I lived in Central Florida for about 8 years, but my destination was always the beach. So landed in this tropical paradise called Naples about 4 years ago.
Okay. I understand the snow and the beach. I came from cold country right to the beach. You sent me an email a few weeks back that said prologue, why I had to write this book. Tell me about that. Is this about your family or your history?
That prologue is now in the book. And yes, it's my family history on my dad's side, as well as my personal history. My grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's. My uncle is in a nursing home with advanced cognitive decline from Alzheimer's. My dad, understandably, since his mom passed, has been concerned about his own risk. I've been helping my dad with his health since coming to Florida. Back then he had fallen into some of the usual traps, was on half a dozen medications. And being a caregiver for my stepmom was taking its toll. Thankfully, he's a good student. I'd say he's doing better now than he was 12 years ago. He's definitely one of the people I had in mind when I was writing this book. And then there's my history as it relates to this book. I had 100 plus concussions in the first 22 years of my life. Whoa. So you might say I'm at high risk for dementia with concussions and family history.
And how did you incur those 100 concussions?
In meeting one of my neuro teachers, I had never heard it put this way, but as soon as he gave his description, I was like, oh, that's me. I was born with no fear and a nervous system that craved speed, height, and impact, which is not most people. So that meant as soon as I could, I was climbing staircases and then climbing buildings and climbing tall trees. And then it was hockey and martial arts and snow skiing and water sports and all that as fast and as hard as you could go.
Wow. Yeah, you've got to be careful of the future, I guess, at that point. You've done a couple of books, but there are 4 currently available. 147 smoothies for weight loss, Help Me Stop Eating, and you fill in the blank, How to Fix Type 2 Diabetes in 8 to 12 weeks. And then your latest book, You Can Reverse Dementia. Do your first couple of books, the ones I just mentioned, do they tie into your newest one, You Can Reverse Dementia? And if so, how?
I'm going to say all of them do. And I'm going to go back to my days of professional martial arts college, aka PROMAC, to answer that.
Okay, good.
The founder and instructor back then was Dave Kovar. And Dave Kovar makes up most of what I would call my conscience, meaning of all the people sitting on my shoulder, whispering in my ear, it's Dave that I hear the most, even after decades later. One of the lessons back then was to create your mission statement. And Dave said, over your lifetime, what you do will probably change. Can you write a mission statement that does not change? So my mission statement was and is, I help people best that I can with my knowledge, skills, and resources. So that's been through martial arts, health and fitness, and now applied neurology. And yes, all of that goes into my books.
Okay. The other ones sound pretty interesting. I'm going to have to check those out, especially the one on diabetes.
And that's probably a more direct, obvious one because, metabolic dysfunction absolutely goes in as a contributor to whether you actually say diabetes or some version of metabolic dysfunction definitely is in the contributing to dementia.
Now, the topic of You Can Reverse Dementia could be considered somewhat controversial, especially with corporate big business structure. How do you address people when they bring that to you? I mean, what do you say?
Let me start by saying there are definitely many good, amazing people working in the medical field and working with many of those over the years. There's a theme that I keep hearing on many separate occasions when I would say something like health and wellness. They stop me and they tell me, we're not in the health and wellness business. We are in the disease management business. And I'm going to stress the business part. Generally speaking, our medical community is a for-profit business that is heavily influenced by the pharmaceutical industry and the health insurance industry. And that creates many obvious conflicts between profit and best interests of the patients. The medical community's main focus since the discovery of dementia has been and still is to treat it with a drug or a combination of drugs. And what they've done so far is, yes, slow the decline, but they haven't stopped it or reversed it. And even when doing that, they're doing it with very risky and extremely expensive drugs. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, effective lifestyle changes, and I mean that effective in reversing dementia, rarely get, especially relatively speaking, get little to no attention in the medical world.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And I don't know if I've told you, my wife is in the 1%, and 1% of she can't take these heavy duty drugs that they've come out with. She had what they call an ARIA, ARIA, and it refers to a number of symptoms, life-threatening symptoms, that if your brain doesn't like it, and my wife's brain didn't like it, the neurologist that I spoke to that morning, she was brought to the hospital, said, well, your wife's brain is pissed off, didn't like that medicine. And
I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, and I laughed also. But the effects are severe and long term. My wife, she's gotten better in some degrees, worse in other degrees. They were saying anywhere from 12 to 18 months before all the swelling goes down. She had massive brain swell and brain bleed. That's the risk that we took. Not everybody wants to take that risk. Not everybody wants to even think about that risk. That's why I was intrigued, to talk to you, because you are looking at a different direction. My first book I read after my wife's diagnosis was called The End of Alzheimer's, the first program to prevent and reverse cognitive decline. And that's by Dale E. Bredesen. And then this book right after that was called The Complete Book of Ketones by Mary T. Newport, and she's also a doctor, and she had a lot of extra help doing research. And they have a lot of different approaches, which is what I looked at first. That's kind of what you're going into. Tell us how your new book helps people.
You mentioned those two other big names in the reversing dementia world. My work is definitely standing on the shoulders of giants like Dr. Bredesen. My view on ketones versus sugar is probably the biggest difference. Much of the modern world is having difficulty metabolizing glucose, sugar. That difficulty is often a big contributor to dementia. And basically, your brain is not getting the energy that it needs to thrive. And most in the field of reversing dementia would say something like, okay, the brain is struggling to use glucose, so we'll give it an alternative fuel, ketones. And the person does typically get better. And dementia has been reversed with ketosis as a piece of the protocol. My counter to that is that the person does even better if you fix the glucose metabolism. The body, and especially the brain, prefer glucose and has many redundant systems to ensure that it gets it. If glucose is not in your food, your body will break down your muscles and organs to get it. So like anything, there's a cost to anything. Nothing's ever pure good or pure bad. Another aspect of this is the sugar is bad idea. From my neurotraining, one of the things that got drilled into my head and makes a big difference is that context matters. That might sound obvious, but it's often overlooked in media and medicine. So for sugar, that goes something like, sugar is bad, sugar causes inflammation, and many would still say that sugar causes diabetes or diabetes of the brain, which is obviously not the case, even though most people still believe that. So context matters. How that applies to, say, sugar is bad, or is it the junk oils, preservatives, or processing agents that tend to go along with it? Or is it the lack of nutrition to support glucose metabolism? From what I've seen, sugar is amazing when it doesn't come with all the other garbage and when it's supported by good nutrition.
That makes some sense. Yes, it does. You kind of touched on it, but what you see a lot in the press and information about Alzheimer's is the new diabetes 3. I hear it, but I don't get it.
I think it goes along with most people's, I'm going to humbly say, incorrect look at diabetes as well. I'm going to talk about diabetes, but I think the connection to diabetes of the brain really should be eye-opening for most people if they really get this. So with diabetes, a lot of people say, okay, I have diabetes because I have high blood sugar. Understandably, a lot of people think, okay, I'll cut out sugar or drastically reduce sugar so to get my blood sugar down. Sure, will that drop your blood sugar? But is that really fixing your glucose metabolism? No. Why is your blood sugar high? Not necessarily because you're eating too much of it. It's because you're not metabolizing it well and it's not getting into your cells. So it's stuck in your blood. I would say a much better approach, and again, I've seen this and I've worked with many people that have done this, is to fix the glucose metabolism. So that's mostly through nutritional support. So if you correct the nutrition, then the body actually uses the glucose and it then leaves the blood sugar and goes, and your brain gets that energy and your body gets that energy.
That makes sense. Yeah. How do you change the first part? How do you fix that? With what? When
you talk about ketosis, it's like, okay, you tend to be like much more fat and little to no sugar, which again, because you're just about completely eliminating the sugar, it will lower your blood sugar, but your organs and your brain that really want and need the glucose are not getting it, or trying to break down your muscles and organs to get it. Somebody that's on a more typical diet and they're getting all their macronutrients. And in saying this, context matters. Again, I'm not going to say, hey, fat is bad. Some are better than others, but it's more about balance. And so if we consume too much fat, and our cells are full of fat, it's tough for the sugar to get in.
Okay.
So it is part of the equation is the right balance of carbs and fats as well as proteins, but the biggest picture is the right balance of fats and sugars, and then the right nutrition. We're much more than machines, but like if you look at the mechanics of it, okay, what nutrition does our body need to metabolize sugar? And whether you're looking at to metabolize sugar or anything, I would say the average American is about 50% deficient in basic nutrition. So yes, we tend to put a lot in our mouths, about 50% deficient in basic nutrition. And one of the ways I throw that out there to individuals or groups is think about any living organism. If you give it 50% of its basic nutrition, what's going to happen? Not good things. Lucky if it lives. And that is kind of, in a simplistic way, that is modern man. We're really, as far as economics, yes, obviously there's different varieties of economics, but this is the best time to live ever. We're in a very prosperous country, but our nutrition is horrible, and because of that, bad things are happening to us. So yes, filling in the pieces of nutrition and balancing macro nutrients. And when you do that, you can eat lots and lots of healthy carbs and not have diabetes or diabetes of the brain.
When you look at how our country, especially, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and even back then, food was different. It was real food. We didn't have processed food. We didn't have microwaves. You ate a lot of vegetables and good stuff, so you could have some sugar. Again, at that point, everything that we put into our body seemed to be a little bit more natural, didn't have all the chemicals. And somewhere along the line, those things started to pop in and, the food coloring. And now, as I'm an old guy, what am I putting in my body? I can't eat that. I can't eat that. And what you put into your gut is what ends up in your brain. Then how do we change it from your perspective? It's amazing. And you look how fast Alzheimer's and dementia is growing. It's just interesting how everything's interrelated and how much it affects you.
I just thought of a good antidote that could help here in my own experience. So from my head trauma, one of the situations I ended up in the hospital with complications from the brainstem trauma, and brainstem controls all your autonomics, controls your breathing rate, your pulse rate, your blood pressure, all that stuff. I ended up in the hospital with blood pressure through the roof, chest pains. At the time I was like 50 and going, I can't believe I'm in the hospital getting evaluated for a heart attack, which thankfully was not, but blood pressure was through the roof, pulse was erratic, and came out of that and went to my teachers and said, okay, I'm going to leaving the hospital. I was like, okay, going to do all my rehab, and I was kind of recommitted, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat 100% healthy. In doing that, I was getting really frustrated because my rehab was unstable. Sometimes it would do great, other times it completely fail. And so I went back to my teachers. Okay, I'm really frustrated. My rehab is unstable. It's not consistent. What's going on? They're like, you really have to dial in your nutrition. I'm like, I'm eating everything healthy. And they're like, no, really dial it in. You really have to journal it and really look and say, hey, are you getting enough of this? Are you getting too much of that? And what I realized in doing that and doing that with other people since, you could be eating, I'm going to back up a minute. Yeah, what is healthy is nobody's ever going to agree completely on that. But even put that to the side, you could be eating 100% what you think is healthy. But then if you actually look at, hey, what are you getting for your vitamins and minerals and macros, they could still be and probably would be way out of whack. Especially when you have a brain that's struggling, those things really need to be dialed in and foundational.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. You talk about a neuro coach. Define what a neuro coach is.
Okay. I'm not going to give you the elevator speech answer.
Okay.
I think it'd be good to go a little deep on this for your listeners. And everything about us originates in your brain and then is coordinated by your brain. That's everything. How you move, how you think, how your behavior, everything about us originates in the brain. A healthy brain needs fuel and stimulation. So a neurocoach may work with you on your food and breathing to make sure you're getting the fuel to your brain, as well as, so on the stimulation part, may work with you through your senses or neuro movement to fine tune the stimulation that your brain is getting. Especially with a struggling brain, changes in the inputs can make a huge difference. And when I say inputs, I'm talking about things like vision, vestibular, hearing, smell, feeling, and movement. This could help anything, but common ones are improving cognition, function, balance, movement, mobility, and joint pain. So going back to those inputs, it's all stuff that we take for granted when it's working well. And when it's not working, most people don't understand how these things affect us. But basically, your brain is constantly getting signals from all your senses and then interpreting that and making decisions. So especially for a struggling brain, changing what you're looking at or how you're looking, or changing your head angle for vestibular, or changing what you're hearing, what you're smelling, what you're feeling, or how you're moving can make a drastic difference. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So you work with individuals and you help them tweak things that are not working properly. Is that a simple way to put it? Okay.
Yes. And I would say it's another way, the most holistic practice out there, I would say. And again, not shorting anybody else. Then you include, hey, everything's driven by the brain. So when you understand biomechanics and mix it with neurobiomechanics, then that makes a big difference.
As a neuro coach, what do you offer listeners? Do you have classes, or do you work one-on-one? How do you move forward with that?
Here in Naples, it's definitely in-home stuff, meaning, and whatever works for people. I might go to their homes, to their gyms, to their business. Some people actually like going outside, so we'll actually go to a local park. And if it's not locally, then it would be on, I say Zoom is a common one, but like basically whether it's Zoom or FaceTime or something like that, an online session. In the You Can Reverse Dementia book, there's right now a couple of bonuses that are companion courses. I also do the online courses, as well as for somebody that really wants to take a deep dive and really personalize the dementia protocol, I have a program for that as well.
What advice can you give listeners, and how should they approach the beginning of the journey that they're probably going to be on?
Whether it's somebody that's diagnosed or their caregivers, say, don't hesitate for another minute. Time is precious, especially now. Dive in, do your homework, and especially caregivers, prioritize your own health and sanity, and then build your team. I just had this conversation with a client and her sister, and what I said was, what we're doing is good, but I want us all to be clear that it's not enough for the difference that we want to make, and you really have to build a team. And every situation is different, and that situation changes for people. But for her, I told her, I said, you need somebody here every day. And I'm not saying all day, but like somebody needs to be here and make sure you have healthy meals. Somebody needs to be here and make sure you do your exercise. Somebody needs to be here and make sure you do your breathing exercises. Somebody needs to be here and do your rehab every day. So we really need to build a team, and that team could be, yes, whatever works for you as far as a combination of family, friends, and home care.
I know when we first talked to you, you were waiting for your book to be printed. Is it printed?
It is now on Amazon, both. So you can get it on Amazon for your Kindle or Amazon for a print.
Okay, good. How can our listeners get more information on what you do and how you can help them? The website that I have for you, web address, is youcanreversedementia.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, so youcanreversedementia.com is definitely the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can contact me there. You can find the book there, find the courses, or take a deep dive, all there.
I'd like to thank you so much for your time and the information you provided our listeners today. I mean, I know you have them rethinking, and I know I am. I do appreciate your time.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
One of the things we're working on for 2026 is to have our listeners, that's you, send us questions. Things you need more information on or things you don't understand 100%, and we'll have them answered by a professional. It could be a doctor, a neurologist, a research expert, or even a professional caregiver. So start thinking about what you'd like to ask, jot them down, or you can even start sending them to us at gutpunchedac@outlook.com. For more information on some important resources, reach out to the Dubin Center at thedubincenter.com. And here's a new resource for you, Neuropsychiatric Research Center. Find them at www.nprc-swfl.com. And you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org/about-us. To find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can call their toll-free hotline at 1-800-272-3900. That's 1-800-272-3900. They have a resource called Dementia Care Navigation Service, powered by Ripple and the Alzheimer's Association. Caregivers and people living with Alzheimer's or another dementia can access personalized dementia care for free, including a dedicated care navigator and tailored resources. You can call 855-271-2662 to get connected. That's 855-271-2662. Take the first step and contact them. We mention the guide frequently. It's another great resource and provides help in respite care. And people are finding out about it and signing up. It's free. Yes, it is. It's probably easier just to Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it, or reach out to Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners, and their website is https://healthspansouthwestflorida.com. And here's another new one, Aquilane Clinical Research. Find them at aquilaneresearch.com. Thanks to all those who help and contribute each week to build this podcast. Our website is gutpunched.com, and the email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. Or you can email me at jeff@gutpunched.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.